Landing on Pentecost Sunday. The first thing St. John Bosco would have to do is put $30 in the gift basket. Then St. John would draw 2 new evangelization cards, put them face down on Pentecost Sunday. So now St. John Bosco, he gets a free pair of devotion cards, any ones that he wants. He gets buy from any player he wants to. So St. John Bosco has a pair of the brown scapular, and St. John Bosco needs a pair of the rosary, so that if St. John Bosco lands on purgatory, he won't miss a turn. He'll get extra new evangelization cards and he'll get to go again. So now he's in good shape to get that card. So he's going to ask the priest banker to buy the catechism, to buy the rosary from any player that he can. So it's $25, and he don't have to pay for it either. It comes out of the bank, it comes out of the bank. So the priest banker takes $25 out of the bank and buys the rosary devotion from St. Elizabeth for $25. Takes the rosary card, gives it to St. John Bosco. St. John Bosco puts the pair into his player's pile, takes one of his player's flags, and puts it in by of the rosary devotion. And the priest banker's already got one in cell, and now St. John Bosco has a pair, the second pair, in by. So if somebody lands on here and they have to pay the devotion value, the priest banker is the first one in line and would get his $25 first, and then St. John Bosco would get the second $25. And if the player can't pay, then whoever doesn't get paid would have to go to jail and go to prison, and the person who was paying would have to go to prison. So that's a reason why sometimes when you land on buy or on sell, like if St. John Bosco was to, if the priest banker was to land on sell and he wanted to sell his pair, he could, but he's in the first position, so he probably wouldn't want to. But with St. John Bosco, when he lands on buy, he could also sell his pair of rosary devotions if he wanted to, and he could sell to any of the other players if they wanted it, but they'd be in the second position to get paid, so they would have to weigh if they wanted to or not. So now St. John Bosco has his pair of devotion cards, and if he lands on purgatory, he won't miss a turn. So he's got to take up the gift basket to the priest banker, and the priest banker would take the money and put it into the bank. He'd give all the new evangelization cards to Don Bosco, and the Get Out of Purgatory card would go to St. John Bosco too. So that goes in his pile for when he wants it. He takes the gift basket back up. The priest banker, he puts 3 new evangelization cards back into the gift basket, and you put a different Get Out of Purgatory card back in the gift basket. So if anybody lands on Pentecost Sunday again, they would get all that. And if they drew one of the 7 prayer cards, if there's any in the new evangelization deck, they would also get what's in there. So with the cards that come out of the gift basket, if there's any bad ones in there, they all get thrown into the bank. They don't go to the player. The only ones that could be bad is those 2 there, because they were drawn off the deck. But everything that's in here, the priest banker goes through, and he takes out all the bad ones. If there's any bad ones in there, they would come out. So there is no choice cards, there is no judgment cards, and there is no go to prison cards. So those would be there's 3 choice cards, 3 judgment cards that would cost money, or would cost a disciple card, or they'd have to go to prison. And it's the same way with the prison card. They would have to, those would all come out. So since they're all good cards, they go on the top of the deck. They go on to the top, so he'll be looking at those first. So St. John Bosco looks at those cards first. The Resurrection, 2 talents. Puts that in his player's pile. Peter Stands Up for True Religion, 2 talents. Puts that in his player's pile. Christ's Ascension, 5 talents. Puts that in his player's pile. Seeking Reconciliation, 1 talent. Puts that in his player's pile. Mass with St. Gregory, 5 talents. Puts that in his player's pile. St. Monica and St. Augustine, 2 talents. Put those in his player's pile. Archbishop Mancini and the Archdiocese of Halifax, Yarmouth. That was back in 2019. Put that in at 5 talents. Put that in player's pile. Because of Your Holy Cross, 2 talents. Confessional, St. John Vianney, 2 talents. Put that in his player's pile. Now these are the last 2, so they could be a choice card or a judgment card, but when I started, I put the bad cards all at the bottom of the deck so that they wouldn't come up. So if the deck had been properly shuffled and everything like that, there could have been bad New Evangelization cards by now. The Beatitudes, Servant on the Mount, 2 talents. St. Paul and Ananias to Gain Christ, 5 talents. So now St. John Bosco has a choice. He can either take another turn if he feels he has enough money, or he can end his turn by using his transition card by putting it on Pentecost Sunday. Moving to Reconciliation. Turning over a penance card. It's an examination of conscience card. He can read it for $5 or not, and he wouldn't get any money. So then, if he had turned over the practice confession card, he could have got he would have continued his turn. He'd have got some money and some good things like that would have happened. But instead, he turned over a different card, one of the other cards, and his turn is going to end as he was trying to do. So he takes a New Evangelization card. He doesn't get to look at it. Puts it into the gift basket so that whoever lands on Pentecost Sunday again would get that. And then he takes back his transition card because he can't get more money now because he ended his turn from one of the special board spaces, and he can't move back to Pentecost Sunday when his term begins. When his term begins, he can get $35 by reading one of his disciple cards, and then he could move on and take his turn.